Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukenessmonster. Today, we're going to be talking about every single Star Wars The Black Series clone trooper ever released into the line, and we're going to be ranking them from worst to first. Obviously, there have been a ton of clones in the line, and we actually got 6 brand new ones in the last year to add to the list. And honestly, in my personal opinion, almost every single clone that came out this year is a banger, so it really shakes up the list. If you guys haven't seen my older episodes of this, I've been doing it since 2020, and so I think we already have 4 years worth of worst to first for clone troopers already out on the channel. And so if you want to see how the rankings have evolved over the last 5 years, make sure to go check those out. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it because we have a total of 66 clone troopers in the Black Series, and we're going to be ranking every single one from worst to first. At the number 66 spot, I gave it to the original Holiday Clone Trooper, and I've never been a huge fan of the Holiday figures, and so you'll see a lot of them lower on this list, but this one is specifically last because it's on the original 2013 clone body, meaning it has horrible articulation, it has the really bad double jointed pins, elbows, and knees, and so overall, it's just not a good figure with a deco that I do not like. At the 65 spot, I gave it to the Phase 1 Clone Lieutenant. And again, this one is on the original 2013 clone body, so poor articulation as well as the pinned elbows and knees. I'm going to talk about that a lot in this video, so, brace for that. But this one is specifically bad because it's the complete wrong color than the Lieutenant is supposed to be. He is a much lighter shade of blue. TVC did this one right, and it looks really good in TVC, but the Black Series one just really sucks, so that combined with the horrible articulation does not do this figure well. At the 64 spot, I give it to the original Phase 1 Clone Trooper. Of course, this is just the pinnacle of that old 2013 clone body, so articulation is horrible, and there's no paint deco on this one. Obviously, it is just a plain white Clone Trooper, and so it definitely suffers from just kind of being a little boring. At the 63 spot, I give it to the Clone Sergeant, and this is one of those figures, again, that suffers from all the same problems as the previous figure, but it does have a paint deco, which looks good. Unfortunately, though, it's just like barf green color. It's not bad, but I do think that there are other color schemes for this clone that look better. At the 62 and 61 spot, I gave it to the Phase 1 Clone Commander and the plain white Phase 2 Clone Trooper. Of course, these are both the original 2013 sculpts, so they suffer from all those issues. And overall, I like these ones, but it just comes down to articulation, and they suck, and they're better versions of these characters. At the 60 spot, I gave it to the Phase 1 Clone Captain, and this one I think has the best paint deco of all of the Phase 1 colored clone troopers. I think that red burgundy color is really sharp, it stands out, and I think it's the best paint job out of that bunch of clone troopers. At the 59 spot, I gave it to Black Series Fordo, and that's because Captain Fordo here looks nothing like he's actually supposed to from the 2D Clone Wars. In the 2D Clone Wars, he's got this pretty unique ARC Trooper design, and Hasbro just decided to reuse the ARC Trooper body that was already in the line, which is not at all the same design as the 2D Clone Wars. The Vintage Collection did this one right. They even gave him the long-barreled pistols, which is something that this figure didn't do. Hasbro just cheaped out and reused parts, and they didn't actually give him the right design, and so that's why this one is so low on the list. From the 58 to 55 spot, I gave it to the 4 figures a part of the Order 66 4-pack. These were some of the first Phase 2 clone troopers in the line, and they have a really dang cool design. And I really like the paint deco on these guys. They have amazing weathering, but unfortunately they're just held back by the crappy 2013 sculpt. I wanted to put these ones higher, and honestly, they're great figures, but that old sculpt just really holds them back compared to some modern figures we're getting nowadays. Next up at the 54 spot, I gave it to the Elite Squad Trooper from the Bad Batch. And this is a really cool idea for a clone trooper, but unfortunately it just wasn't executed greatly. It is missing the kind of stripe that goes down the helmet and the arms of this figure, as well as it's just got this weird hybrid between the 2020 sculpt and the old 2013 sculpt. And so it's just kind of like a weird mishmash of a figure. It's not bad, but it's just a little strange. At the number 53 spot, I gave it to the original Commander Cody. This figure was great when it first came out, and it was a great commander to add to the line, but unfortunately the articulation is very poor, and it just hasn't held up to today's standards. At the number 52 spot, I gave it to Commander Fox. Again, this is pretty much the same lines as Commander Cody, where it's on that old clone body, so the articulation sucks. He's a great looking commander, he's got lots of paint details that really shine for him, but he just hasn't held up to today's standards. The 51 spot, I gave it to the original Commander Gree. Now this one of course has the same problems with the really crappy body, but it does have something that a lot of other clones don't have, and that is just one of the best paint jobs we've ever seen. That camo look all the way around is really, really good, and it just makes this figure shine above some of the other figures on this exact same mold. The 50 spot is a figure that honestly disappointed me when I got it, and that is Commander Wolf. That's just because, again, it's on that old clone body, so the articulation is very, very poor. But he does have a removable helmet, which does have that amazing Temuera Morrison likeness underneath. It's one of the best Temuera Morrison likenesses we've ever gotten. And of course, it has that really cool, like, missing eye with the scar. Some of the best face detail and painting that we've ever gotten. So because of that, he's one of the best clones on this older body. At the 49 spot, I give it to the Gingerbread Clone Trooper. I've already mentioned how I feel about the holiday figures, and so obviously this one isn't super high on my list, but it does have the 2020 clone body. I believe it's one of the first ones on this list so far to have that, so it's got much better articulation, and so it does get a little bit higher on the list, but I still am not a huge fan of it. At the 48 spot, we have the Halloween Clone Trooper with the skeleton design. I actually like this a lot more than the Gingerbread Trooper, but still not a huge fan of the Holiday Troopers, so he's a little bit lower on the list, but of course he does have that great articulation, so little bonus there. At the 47th spot, I have the original 187th Battalion Trooper, and this one of course is the canon appearance. And this one is just a little lower on the list because it's got this really weird off-white color, and it just stands out against the rest of the clones. At the 46th spot, we have the non-canon version of the 187th Battalion Trooper. That is the more purple-colored trooper. This one is better than the previous version just because it's the normal white color for the armor, and it also has a removable helmet, which is a great bonus. At the number 45 spot, I gave it to the Phase 1 Clone Trooper on the 2.0 clone body. Again, this one was great when it first came out, but there is just better versions of it out in the line now, and so it's a little bit lower on the list. At the 44th spot, I give it to Imperial Crosshair. This is a design for Crosshair I really like, but unfortunately he reuses a lot of pieces from the original Crosshair figure, which just makes this figure pretty inaccurate, which is kind of a shame. At the 43 spot, I give it to ARC Trooper Jesse. This figure is just inaccurate. They gave him the wrong helmet. They gave him the ARC Trooper helmet rather than the Phase 2 helmet, and it just looks so bad on this guy. Of course, he has the Rangefinder too, which is just inaccurate. So they really butchered this guy and just cheaped out by reusing the ARC Trooper molds rather than giving him a Phase 2 helmet, which they already had in the line. The 42 spot, I give it to the Season 1 version of Omega. This is a pretty good figure, solid articulation. Biggest problem is that she has the weird, like, headdress forehead thingy, and she only wears it for, the first episode and then takes it off, and so it's kind of like pigeonholed into being an Episode 1 version Omega rather than a Season 1. At the 41 and 40 spot, I gave it to the two versions of Wrecker that we have in the line. The lower spot I give to the Season 2 version just because the colors are a little stranger on this guy. It's like these greens and oranges and tans. And I just like the Season 1 version better because it's that more unified clone look with the gunmetal gray and the maroon. I think I like that design much better. At the 39th spot, it's the Season 2 version of Echo, and that again is the exact same reason, just because the colors are a little strange. It's these reds and oranges and browns and earth tones, and I just like the Season 1 version much better. The number 38 spot, I give it to the Season 2 version of Omega. This one is a far better figure. It has two swappable heads, the collapsed bow as an extra accessory, and overall it's just a much better figure. I like this one a lot. At the 37 and 36 spot, I give it to Sev and Fixer. I really like Delta Squad, but unfortunately these two figures just don't hold up to what the actual characters' designs are. They are missing a lot of pieces, and they're missing a lot of paint, where the actual designs for these commandos have a lot more going on, and so because of that, I think they're the worst commandos. And of course, we got to talk about the fact that they're on the Hunter body, which just makes them nowhere near bulky enough. The 35 spot is actually a figure I really like, and that's the plain white commando. I love the all-white design. It's super sleek, it's nice and stunning, and honestly, I like it more than the previous two commandos I just talked about. At the 34 and 33 spot, we have the other two commandos in the line with Boss as well as Scorch. These two figures are the better versions of the commandos. Their outfits are more accurate. Scorch has the custom backpack, the custom gun, as well as the extra bits like the thigh strap thing. So I really like him, and they kind of went all out with Scorch, and that's why he's easily the best commando we have. At the 32 spot is the 212th Trooper on the 2020 clone body. This one is much better because it does have, of course, that 2.0 articulated body, but I think this one definitely suffers from the lack of the black brow line, and that's definitely a bummer in my opinion. At the 31 spot, I give it to the 2.0 332nd Trooper. This one was really cool when it came out. And don't get me wrong, the 2.0 clone body is still really good, but compared to what we're getting nowadays, it is just a little dated. At the number 30 spot, I give it to the 13th Battalion Trooper. For starters, this guy's got one of the coolest clone trooper paint schemes of all time, and he also has that black brow line, which is just a huge improvement, and it's one of those things that most clones should come with, so it easily makes him one of the best 2.0 clones out there. At the 29th spot, I give it to the Imperial Clone Shock Trooper. I really like this guy. I love the design for the Shock Trooper, and I love the pauldron on this guy. I also liked that the pauldron only had a little bit of glue on it, so if you heated it up with a hair gun, you could pop the pauldron off and army build normal Shock Troopers. The only thing that could have made this guy better would have been a black brow line. At the 28 and 27 spot, I give it to the two versions of Tech that we have in the line. I really like his Season 1 appearance the most. I like the light gray armor with the red accents and the black undersuit. The Season 2 version has that, again, earth tones and the blues and the oranges that I just don't like very much. But he does have the removable helmet with separate goggles, which actually allows you to remove the helmet for Tech, which is huge, and it's just a much better upgrade than the Season 1 version. So I do like that feature of Tech. At the 26 and 25 spot, I give it to the two versions of Hunter we have in the line. The Season 2 version, again, has those earth tones, the greens, the oranges, the, reddish colors, and I'm not a huge fan of that, but honestly, Hunter rocks the earth tones, and he easily has the best one out of the Season 2 Bad Batch bunch, but I still love that classic Season 1 look with the gunmetal grays and the maroon colors. It all comes together so well, so Season 1 has to be on top. At the 24 spot, I gave it to the Bad Batch version of Captain Rex. This is the first figure on the list that we've talked about so far that has the Captain Rex body, so he does have the double jointed elbows and knees, but he has hyper articulation, so a whole lot more articulation than most of the figures we've talked about so far. The problem is, compared to the original Captain Rex, he is just missing so much paint and so much detail, and so I want to put him up there because it is the same mold, but he's missing a lot of stuff that original one had. At the 23 spot, it's going to go to Clone Pilot Hawk, another one on the Captain Rex body, so he does have the pinned arms and knees, but he's got great articulation and one of the coolest clone trooper designs out there, being the only clone pilot we have in the line. This one is a pretty solid figure. At the number 22 spot, it goes to the Kamino Clone Trooper. This is the first ever clone on the 2.0 clone body, and I gotta say, I just love the design for this guy. He's not necessarily better than a lot of the other 2.0 clones we've already talked about, but this one just purely comes down to that gray Shock Trooper look. I love the design. At the 21 spot, it's the obscure, like, comic book magazine look for Commander Gree. This one is a great figure because it is on the 3.0 clone body, and it's the first time we've talked about that, but it's easily the best clone body we have in the line, and it has all of the modern points of articulation. The problem is, this guy is just obscure. We've never really seen Gree like this. It was from some kind of obscure comic book or magazine, and so I like the figure, and I want to like it more, but I just don't really recognize Gree as this outfit. We've broken the top 20, which means we're going into some of the best clone troopers ever made. And at the 20 spot, it does not disappoint because it is actually the Season 1 version of Crosshair. Crosshair is such an amazing figure, great articulation, really good design and color scheme overall. He's just a badass looking clone trooper, and he definitely has one of the coolest clone helmets to ever come out, and I really like this guy. At the 19 spot, I give it to the 501st Jet Trooper. This is one of the most underrated Black Series clone troopers out there. The jetpack is awesome, an amazing design. He is on the Captain Rex body, so some pretty great articulation. And overall, I just like the Jet Troopers. I like the idea of them, and this guy was executed pretty flawlessly. The 18 spot goes to the Season 1 version of Bad Batch Echo. Everything about this figure is so peak. From the face sculpt, to the color scheme, to the sculpting, to the brand new molds. It is all just perfect, and it's easily the best Bad Batch figure we have in the line, and one of the best clones. At the number 17 spot, I had to give it to ARC Trooper 5s. This is a figure I really like, and I wanted to put it higher, but he just has so many problems. Of course, most obviously, the helmet decal is just way too small, and it just looks really wacky on the figure. And then one of his pauldrons is supposed to be black, and they just completely missed the color of one of his pauldrons. So I wanted to put him higher, but I just couldn't. At the 16th spot, I had to give it to the Umbra ARC Trooper. This is one that I really like. I love the ARC Trooper design. I love the color scheme. The black with the yellow accents is super sleek, and it's one of the coolest clone designs we've ever seen, and so I'm so happy that we have a figure for this one. And yeah, it's just overall a great figure. The number 15 spot, I give it to the Hasbro PulseCon exclusive Captain Rex. This one does have specific packaging that it is exclusive to with a few extra accessories, but it also doesn't have the photoreal face that the normal Captain Rex has, meaning that it's a little bit lower on this list because it's the only Tamora Morrison face that we have in the line that isn't photoreal, which is just a big bummer. At the 14th spot, I give it to ARC Trooper Echo. This is one of the best clone designs we've gotten in the line. It is pretty much perfect when it comes to accuracy. The only thing really holding this guy back is the fact that it has the 2020 base body for the clone trooper, which is a good body, but like I said, it's just a little dated compared to some more clone molds that we've gotten in the future. Still though, a great figure, and it's one of my favorites of all time. At the number 13 spot, it's the Phase 1 Clone Trooper on the 2023 clone body. This body is the best one that we've ever gotten in the line. It's got the O-rings for the shoulder pads, it's got the loose chest piece, it also has the knee pads that are no longer glued down. It's just got the best clone mold ever. Plus, it also has a removable helmet, which is the first time we're getting that for a Phase 1 Clone Trooper, so it is a really great figure. At the number 12 spot is the 2023 version of the Lieutenant, which really this is not a Lieutenant, it's got the 501st color schemes. And so this is a Phase 1 501st Trooper, and really it's a great figure. It's got all the pros that we just talked about with the standard Phase 1 Clone Trooper, but it's got that 501st blue color scheme, which is looking really sleek and really phenomenal, so I do like this one a lot as well. At the number 11 spot, I give it to the single release of the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. I personally like the Phase 2 design better than the Phase 1, so that's why it's a little bit higher on this list, but he is on the 3.0 clone body, so amazing articulation. One problem with this guy though, and that's because they gave him this kind of like 5 o'clock shadow beard on the head sculpt underneath, and it just looks really bad. It looks like he's just super dirty. It just does not look good. And so that's why the number 10 spot, I gave it to the Phase 2 Clone Trooper that comes with the Clone and Droid Army Builder 2-pack. That's specifically because it doesn't have the 5 o'clock shadow on the face, so the face sculpt does look a little bit better overall. And they use that paint that would have gone on the face, and they use it on some of the other black accents on the figure, so he actually ends up having more paint apps than the previous clone. So it's just slightly better. At the number 9 spot is the Phase 1 Captain Rex. I really like this figure. I know a lot of people had some mixed feelings about it because it is based off of the live-action Ahsoka appearance, but I like the longer holsters on the comma. I like the design for the pauldron. Overall, it's a pretty great figure. The only problem is that the head sculpt underneath that Temuera Morrison head sculpt is a little bit more cartoonish than previous Rexes that we've gotten, meaning it just looks a little silly. At the number 8 spot, I gave it to BlackSeries Commander Bly. This figure does have some phenomenal weathering, which is the last time that we've really gotten that in the Black Series as far as weathering goes. He has great articulation because he is on the Captain Rex body. Overall, he's just a really good, high-quality figure. At the number 7 spot, I give it to the Phase 2 Captain Rex. This is easily one of the best Black Series figures ever made, and it's the first year that this hasn't come in at the number 1 spot, so definitely controversial moving it down a little bit, but I love the weathering on this guy. Weathering is phenomenal. The articulation is great being on that Captain Rex body, and the face sculpt is one of the best photoreal faces we've ever gotten, even though it's one of the first photoreal faces we've ever gotten. But honestly, it's just starting to feel a little dated considering we're getting a lot better figures on that 2023 clone body. So I know it's controversial, but I did move him down a little bit for this year's list. At the number 6 spot, I know this is controversial, but I gave it to Commander Bakara. This is one of those figures where you either love him or hate him, and I really, really like him. But I will admit he does have a few problems. He is missing the 2 red dots up by the helmet, and the visor is a little wonky as well. But regardless of those errors, I still really like the figure. It's got amazing articulation on that 2023 clone body. It's got some really nice, unique sculpting just for this figure. And overall, I just really like this one. Maybe it's the nostalgia hitting me, but it's one of those figures that I like and I've been asking for years. So now that we have him in the line, it's one of my favorites, and I think it deserves the number 6 spot. At the number 5 spot, I give it to the Revenge of the Sith 20th Anniversary 501st Trooper. This is a really good looking figure. It is on that 2023 clone body, so the best articulation you can get. It also comes with a removable helmet, which has pretty much become a standard at this point for clone troopers. Overall, I like this one, and I do like that it is the more Clone Wars colored blue, because you can army build it and it'll blend in with the rest of your 501st Troopers you already own. At the number 4 spot is basically the exact same figure, except instead of the 501st helmet, it has the 332nd Battalion helmet, and honestly, it's looking great. I think this one is a huge upgrade compared to the original 332nd that we got. This one has much more defined lines on the helmet, much greater detail, and of course, it is on that updated 2023 body, so overall, the best articulation you're going to get out of a clone trooper. It's a phenomenal figure. At the 3 spot, another 501st Trooper, but this is Commander Oppo from the Kenobi show. And the big controversy about this guy is that the shade of blue is more accurate to the Kenobi show, and it's different than the standard 501st blue that we've gotten so many times in the line before. And honestly, I like this one more, because I think it's more accurate to Revenge of the Sith, and it's obviously more accurate to the Kenobi show. But overall, I just like this design. I like that it's a little unique, and I like that it is more accurate to Revenge of the Sith, rather than that Clone Wars blue, which really is not accurate to Revenge of the Sith at all. At the number 2 spot is the brand new Commander Cody, part of the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith line. This guy is so freaking good. I love the Emperor Palpatine hologram he comes with. That's something that I know we've been asking for years. Of course, he's on the 2023 clone body, so updated articulation with some brand new sculpting to replicate kind of Commander Cody's unique armor, which I really, really like. He also does bring back some weathering, which is something that we don't see very often for clone troopers. Now, it's not a lot of weathering, but it is enough to really make a difference. And then at the number 1 spot, I gave it to Lieutenant Gale. And Lieutenant Gale is such an amazing figure. He obviously is the most recent addition into the Clone Trooper line, but he is by far the best. So 2023 clone body, of course, so best articulation, but he has a unique Revenge of the Sith helmet sculpt, and it is easily the best Clone Trooper helmet sculpt we've ever gotten in the line. That's been a big complaint with a lot of the previous ones, that they just look a little off, a little wonky. This one is perfect, and Hasbro needs to use this helmet for every single Clone Trooper moving forward. It is genuinely so good, and it really sets this figure apart from every single other Clone Trooper we've already looked at today. So that, combined with the amazing articulation, pretty solid paint apps, and that removable helmet with the Temuera Morrison face sculpt underneath, puts this as the best Black Series Clone Trooper ever made. Anyway guys, that was every single Black Series clone trooper ranked from worst to first. I know I definitely had some controversial rankings, so I'd love to know what you guys have to think about it all down below in the comments. Do you like where I put stuff? Would you move some different stuff around? Let me know down below. And obviously, let me know what your favorite Black Series clone trooper is. That, of course, is going to do it for the video though, so if you did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.